My best friend was wearing the necklace she bought with the money she stole from my mother's bakery, and her confession was being projected on a 12-foot screen behind her. She stood in front of 70 people at our investor tasting in Denver, smiling like she had saved me, while the live feed from my office showed her moving $18,400 into her secret account. I watched her face change the exact second she realized I had set the trap. 3 years before that night, I trusted Tessa Whitmore with everything except my house keys, and honestly, she probably had those too. I'm Elena Marquez, 34, owner of Marquez and Maple, a small bakery and catering kitchen in Denver's Baker neighborhood. My mother, Rosa, opened it in 1998 with 2 ovens, a handwritten recipe book, and $12,000 she had saved in coffee cans. When she passed the business to me, she said, "Keep the cinnamon rolls soft and the books honest." Tessa was 35, sharp as a pin, always in red lipstick, always smelling like jasmine lotion and expensive coffee. We met at the University of Colorado, where she studied accounting and I studied hospitality. She handled my books for $4,200 a month and called it the friend discount. She was at my birthdays, my mother's memorial brunch, and every ugly cry moment I had after long catering days. My fiancé, Nathan Price, 37, was a commercial real estate agent. He was polished, charming, the kind of man who sent flowers with little cards that said, "Proud of you, E." He helped negotiate our lease extension on South Broadway. Tessa used to joke, "Between your bread and his suits, you two are Denver royalty." By January 2024, Marquez and Maple was finally climbing. We had $312,000 in annual revenue, a catering contract with St. Anselm Medical Center, and a possible $150,000 investment from a restaurant group called Front Range Table. I was exhausted, but happy. The kitchen smelled like butter and orange zest every morning. My staff laughed over the mixer noise. I thought I had built something solid. The first crack came on February 9th, when I saw a $2,750 charge for vendor consulting from a company called Blue Fern Solutions. I was standing in the kitchen doorway, flour on my forearms, while the printer spit out invoices in that dry, scratchy sound. I called Tessa. "What's Blue Fern?" I asked. "Packaging consultant," she said too quickly. "Remember? For the hospital contract." I didn't remember. But the oven timer screamed, my assistant Mia dropped a tray of lemon bars, and Tessa added, "Elena, I've got it handled. Go be brilliant with sugar." So I let it go. Then came the little things. On March 3rd, Nathan asked if I'd considered selling the bakery before expansion stress ruined the magic. On March 15th, Tessa showed up in a cream wool coat I knew cost at least $900, then said she got it half off. On March 22nd, a supplier called asking why we were 3 weeks late on a $6,140 butter invoice. I felt a cold pinch under my ribs. We had money. At least, we were supposed to. The discovery happened on April 4th at 7:18 p.m. I remember the exact time because the wall clock above my office door clicked so loudly it felt like a hammer. I was alone after closing, the kitchen lights half dimmed, the air still warm with vanilla and yeast. Rain tapped against the front windows. My hands were sticky from glazing almond cakes. I opened QuickBooks to check payroll and saw a vendor payment I hadn't approved, $9,600 to Blue Fern Solutions. My mouth went dry. I clicked the vendor profile. No address, just a P.O. box in Lakewood. No phone number. The bank account ended in 4419. My fingers started trembling so badly I hit the wrong keys twice. I whispered, "No. No, no, no." Then my office phone rang. It was our bank manager, Priya Shah. Her voice was careful, too careful. "Elena, I wanted to confirm the authorization change submitted this afternoon." "What authorization change?" A pause. Paper rustled on her end. Tessa Whitmore requested sole approval access for vendor payments under $10,000. The form included your signature. The room tilted. I gripped the edge of my desk until the wood bit into my palm. I didn't sign that, I said. Priya lowered her voice. Then you need to come in first thing tomorrow. I printed the form. My signature stared back at me, close enough to make my skin crawl, but wrong in the loop of the M. My mother's framed photo sat beside the printer, her brown eyes bright, her apron dusted white. I could almost hear her, "Keep the books honest." The next morning, Priya slid a folder across her glass desk. The bank smelled like carpet cleaner and burnt coffee. I pulled what I could, she said. Elena, there are 23 payments to Blue Fern Solutions since November. The total was $86,420. For a second, the sound vanished from the room. Priya's lips moved, but all I heard was a high ringing in my ears. I flipped through the statements, each page heavier than the last. $3,800. $4,950. $7,200. Always under $10,000. Always labeled consulting, packaging review, delivery optimization. Who owns Blue Fern? I asked. Priya hesitated. I can't provide everything without the proper request. But the account contact name listed on one transfer note is Whitmore Holdings. My stomach clenched so hard I thought I might be ill. I drove straight to Tessa's townhouse in Wash Park, rain blurring the windshield. A navy BMW I didn't recognize sat in her driveway. Through her front window, I saw Nathan's gray suit jacket draped over a chair. I rang the bell. Silence. Then footsteps. Nathan opened the door, his face going pale. Elena, he said. You weren't supposed to. Tessa appeared behind him, holding a mug. Her red lipstick was perfect. We're discussing your lease, she said. At your house? My voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. Nathan stepped outside and pulled the door halfway closed. You're stressed. Don't make this dramatic. That was the second crack, becoming a canyon. The depth of it came in pieces, each one sharper than the last. I hired a forensic accountant named Gloria Kim, a 62-year-old woman with silver hair, tiny glasses, and the calm voice of someone who had watched hundreds of liars panic. She charged me $7,500 up front, which I put on a credit card while my hands shook. 3 days later, Gloria called me to her office downtown. The windows looked out over wet streets and gray sky. She placed a spreadsheet in front of me. Blue Fern Solutions is registered to Tessa's cousin, she said. But the mailing address matches a unit owned by Nathan Price. I stared at her. She continued, and there's more. Nathan has been emailing your landlord, proposing a sale of the building to a restaurant group. The plan was to make your business appear financially unstable, then push you to sell your recipes and client list for a reduced price. I tasted metal in my mouth. My recipes? Gloria nodded. Including the cinnamon roll recipe. My mother's recipe. Then came the first unexpected twist that nearly knocked the breath out of me. Tessa had not only stolen money. She had created fake complaints from hospital staff, using email accounts with names close to real employees, trying to get our biggest contract cancelled. Gloria printed one out. The pastry trays arrived stale, it read. I had baked those trays myself at 4:30 in the morning. The second twist came from Mia, my assistant. She walked into my office holding a wrinkled receipt, her eyes wide. I found this behind the storage shelves. It was a receipt for a custom necklace from Larimer Jewelers, $5,200. Paid with a card ending in the same last 4 digits as our business debit card. The description said gold maple leaf pendant. Tessa had worn it to my mother's memorial dinner. That night, I sat on my kitchen floor with my back against the cabinets, the house dark except for the blue glow of my phone. The refrigerator hummed. My dog, Poppy, rested her head on my knee, warm and quiet. I couldn't cry at first. My chest felt packed with stones. Then I opened a photo from 2 years earlier, me, Tessa, Nathan, and my mother in front of the bakery. Tessa's arm was around my shoulders. Nathan was kissing my temple. My mother was holding a tray of cinnamon rolls, smiling like the world was kind. I broke. For 2 weeks, I barely slept. At 3:12 a.m., 3:47 a.m., 4:05 a.m., I stared at the ceiling fan turning slow circles. I lost 11 pounds because everything tasted like paper. I called in sick twice and told Mia I had a stomach bug. Really, I sat in my car in the bakery parking lot, watching customers walk in, wondering how 2 people I loved could sit across from me, eat my food, and plan to gut my life. Nathan texted, "We need to talk like adults." Tessa texted, "You've been distant." Did I do something? I read that one until my hands went numb. The turning point came on April 21st. I was in the bakery before sunrise, kneading dough alone, the metal table cold under my palms. Mia came in early and found me staring at my mother's recipe book. She didn't say, "Are you okay?" She knew I wasn't. Instead, she tied on an apron and said, "Your mom built this place with honest hands. Don't let people with greedy ones write the ending." Something in me settled. Not healed. Not softened. Settled. That afternoon, Tessa posted a photo on Instagram from a rooftop brunch, wearing the maple leaf necklace. Caption, "Blessed season. Big things coming." My fists curled so hard my nails pressed into my palms. The heat rose from my chest to my face. I took a screenshot, sent it to Gloria, and typed, "I'm ready." The plan took 10 days, and every move mattered. Gloria introduced me to attorney Marcus Bell, who wore bow ties and spoke like every sentence had already been admitted into evidence. We met in a conference room that smelled like lemon polish and printer toner. "You do not confront them privately," Marcus said. "You document. You preserve. You let them act." "So I set bait," I said. He nodded. "Clean bait. Legal bait." We created a fake but legitimate-looking catering deposit from Hawthorne Hotel Group for $18,400, labeled for a June executive breakfast. The money was mine, transferred from a personal emergency account, but Tessa didn't know that. Gloria built a vendor profile called Cedar Line Packaging, with a bank account controlled by Marcus's escrow office. Then we emailed Tessa from my account, deliberately vague, "Please hold on vendor cleanup until after the investor tasting on May 3rd. I'll review all payments then." We knew she would panic. Meanwhile, I invited Front Range Table, our landlord, key vendors, and my staff to the May 3rd tasting. The theme was transparent growth, so I announced we'd be showing our new accounting dashboard on the projector to prove we were expansion ready. That part was true. The dashboard would show live payment approvals. We installed cameras in my office and at the bookkeeping station, both already covered under our employee technology policy. Marcus made sure every sign was posted, premises monitored, company devices subject to review. Priya at the bank put a silent alert on any Blue Fern-related transfer. Mia agreed to keep Tessa busy near the office. Nathan was invited too. "Come support me," I texted. He replied, "Always." I stared at that word for a long time. On May 3rd, the bakery looked beautiful enough to hurt. White peonies on the tables. Trays of honey cakes, rosemary rolls, and tiny peach tarts under warm lights. The air smelled like browned butter and coffee. 70 people filled the dining room, their voices rising and falling over the soft jazz playlist. Tessa arrived at 5:40 p.m. wearing a green silk blouse and the maple leaf necklace. It flashed at her throat every time she laughed. Nathan walked in 10 minutes later, kissed my cheek, and whispered, "Big night." "It is," I said. My pulse hammered, but my face stayed calm. At 6:15, Marcus texted me, "She opened vendor list." At 6:22, Mia accidentally told Tessa, loud enough for me to hear, "Elena's meeting with investors in 10. She said she's showing all pending payments." Tessa's smile froze. "All pending payments?" "That's what she said," Mia replied, wide-eyed and innocent. Tessa moved toward my office. I stepped onto the small stage near the pastry display and tapped the microphone. "Thank you all for being here. Before we taste the new menu, I want to show you how we're building Marquez and Maple with full transparency." The projector flickered to life behind me. For one terrifying second, the screen stayed blank. My stomach dropped. Then the dashboard appeared. In the corner of the projected screen, a small live security window showed my office. Tessa sat at my desk, hunched over the company laptop, her fingers flying. Nathan slipped into the office behind her and shut the door. A murmur moved through the room. Nathan's voice came through the speaker because the laptop microphone was active for the dashboard demo. "Do it now," he said. "If she shows pending vendors, she'll see blue fern." Tessa snapped, "I know. I'm moving the Hawthorne deposit through Cedar Line first, then I'll clean the notes." My knees almost gave out, but Marcus, standing near the wall, gave me one small nod. On the big screen, everyone watched Tessa approve an $18,400 payment to Cedar Line Packaging. A red alert popped up instantly, "Approval flagged, unusual vendor activity." Tessa leaned closer to the laptop. "Why is it flagged?" Nathan said, "Override it." "I can't. It's asking for Elena's code." The room had gone completely silent. Even the kitchen seemed to stop breathing. I lifted the microphone. "Looking for this code, Tessa?" On screen, Tessa turned toward the office door. In the dining room, every head turned with her. I walked off the stage, the microphone still in my hand, my heels clicking against the floor. Marcus followed. Priya had arrived quietly and stood near the entrance with 2 bank representatives. My landlord, Mr. Alvarez, crossed his arms, his jaw tight. I opened the office door. Tessa stood so fast the chair rolled backward and hit the wall. Nathan's face had drained of color. "Elena," Tessa said, her voice thin. "This is not what it looks like." I held up the printed bank form with the forged signature. "Then explain this." Nathan stepped forward. "Everyone needs to calm down." Marcus said, "Mr. Price, I would advise you not to speak unless you are prepared for your statements to be documented." Tessa looked past me into the dining room. She saw the screen. She saw herself frozen on the projector, hand on my laptop, the transfer alert bright red behind her. Her mouth opened, then closed. I said, "Did you create Blue Fern Solutions?" "No," she whispered. Marcus placed a folder on my desk and opened it. Registration records. Bank transfer notes. Emails. Vendor logs. I turned to Nathan. "Did you use my financial problems, the ones you helped create, to push me into selling my mother's bakery?" He swallowed. "I was trying to protect you from failure." A sound rose from the dining room, not loud, but sharp. Disgust. Shock. Judgment. I laughed once, but there was no humor in it. "You stole from me and called it protection?" Tessa's eyes filled with tears. "I deserved a piece of it. I carried you for years." There it was. The real confession. Not an apology. A claim. "You carried me?" I said, my voice shaking now. "My mother fed you at our table. I paid you every month. I trusted you with her recipes, her accounts, her name." Tessa touched the necklace like she forgot she was wearing it. I pointed at it. And you bought yourself a trophy. Mr. Alvarez stepped into the doorway. Nathan, our business relationship is over. One of the front-range table investors, Joanne Leary, spoke from the dining room. Elena, if these records are verified, our investment conversation continues. With stronger safeguards. That was when Tessa started crying for real. Nathan stared at the floor, his perfect suit suddenly looking too large on him. Marcus shut the folder. The transfer attempt has been blocked. The evidence has been preserved. We'll proceed formally from here. The aftermath was not instant, but it was thorough. Tessa resigned the next morning through a 2-sentence email. Marcus filed a civil case to recover the stolen funds, and Priya's documentation helped establish the pattern. Within 6 months, Tessa agreed to repay $92,300, including fees, through the sale of her BMW and a lien on her townhouse. Her cousin's shell company was dissolved. She lost most of the clients she had been quietly building off my reputation. Nathan's fall was quieter but just as complete. Mr. Alvarez reported his conduct to his brokerage, and Nathan's firm terminated him after reviewing the emails. Our engagement ended with one message from me: do not contact me again except through counsel. I put the ring in a padded envelope and sent it to Marcus's office for documented return. I never wanted to touch it again. The hospital renewed our contract for 2 years. Front Range Table invested $175,000, more than the original offer, because Joanne said, anyone who protects her business like that is someone I trust with money. Mia became my operations manager at $68,000 a year. Gloria still checks our books quarterly. Every vendor payment now requires 2 approvals, and my mother's recipe book is kept in a safe, not because I'm afraid, but because some things deserve guarding. As for me, I moved into a sunlit condo in Highlands with a balcony full of basil and geraniums. The bakery expanded into the space next door in February 2025. On opening day, I hung my mother's photo by the register and placed a small brass plaque beneath it, built with honest hands. Sometimes customers ask about the maple leaf necklace story because Denver is smaller than people think. I just smile and say, let's say the wrong person wore it, and the right people saw it. The best revenge was not ruining Tessa in a fit of rage. It was letting her reveal herself under bright lights, in her own words, with witnesses watching. It was keeping my hands clean and my records cleaner. It was standing in